Once upon a time, in the busy city of Lagos, there was a well-known wig stylist named Madam Theresa. She owned a famous shop called Theresa's Touch, where women went to fix their old wigs and make them look new. Madam Theresa was the best at what she did. Her skills in turning old wigs into beautiful pieces made people travel from far and wide to her shop. She posted her work on social media platforms like YouTube, and women from all over the world trusted her. They claimed their wigs looked brand new after just one visit. Madam Theresa was considered the best in her business, receiving nothing less than 500 wigs every day. She had a strict rule: no customers could bring more than one wig at a time, no matter how many wigs they own. Many people offered to pay double if she would fix more than one wig for them, but Madam Theresa refused. She didn't care about the money. But Madam Theresa wasn't just an ordinary wig stylist. She wasn't fixing wigs only to make them beautiful. There was a dark secret behind her work. One day, a customer named Amaka brought in her favorite wig for revamping. It was an old, expensive wig she had cherished for years. 3 days later, when Amaka returned to pick it up, Madam Theresa handed her wig in a small black nylon. Madam Theresa reminded her not to open the wig until she got home. Amaka followed the rules, but as soon as she opened the bag at home, she felt a strange cold shield round her body. At that moment, her phone rang. The call brought good news. The contract she has been trying to win for months has just been approved. Amaka was shocked and excited. She looked at the wig and had a strong feeling it has brought her luck. Amaka told her friend about what had happened. Her friends, excited about her success, rushed to Madam Theresa's shop with their wigs. They believed Madam Theresa had magical powers that brought good fortune to anyone who wore her wigs. Word spread fast, and Madam Theresa's business grew even bigger. Women whispered in saloons and churches about how their revamping wigs changed their lives. Everyone who opened their wigs bag at home experienced some amazing life-changing news. The line outside Madam Theresa's shop grew longer every day. Socialites, traders, bankers, and struggling students all came to her shop, hoping her wig would bring them good luck. Madam Theresa accepted their wigs with a smile and always reminding them of her rules, one wig at a time. But none of the customers knew the truth. Every night, after the shop closed, Madam Theresa went into a secret black room. The room was filled with bowls of glowing red waters. She would take the wigs her customer left and dip them into the bowl while chanting in an old mistress language. Water spirits would rise from the bowl and attach themselves to the wigs. This spirit had the power to bring good fortune to anyone who wore the wig, but the fortune didn't last long. After some time, the spirit will unleash trouble and destroy the person's life. Amaka enjoyed her good luck for a while. She met a billionaire during a business trip, who later proposed to her. He showered her with expensive gifts, including cars and a mansion. Amaka became the talk of the town as she basked in her new life. Months later, Amaka was returning home from work when she saw a beggar sitting by the road. She gave the beggar some money, but the beggar refused to take it. Instead, the beggar looked at her and said, "This money carries darkness. I cannot accept it." Amaka was confused and asked what she meant, but the beggar just stared at her with piercing eyes and said, "You have been touched by the spirit from the depths." Then the beggar walked away. Amaka felt chill as the word replayed in her mind. That night, Amaka had a terrible dream. She found herself drawn inside an ocean, struggling to breathe. She woke up, gasping from air and drenched in sweat. The next morning, she went to work, but bad news started piling up. The company she had signed a big deal with cancelled their contract. Her bank account, which once held millions, suddenly had no money in it. Later that day, Amaka received a call from her aunt, telling her that her mother and brother had died in their sleep. Amaka was devastated. She began to realize that her problem started after she collected a wig from Madam Theresa late one night. Determined to find the truth, determined to find answers, Amaka decided to confront Madam Theresa. Late one night, Amaka stalked into Madam Theresa's shop through a back window. The shop was dark and quiet. As she moved through the store, she noticed a door at the end of the hallway. It was slightly open and strange sound came from inside. Peeking through the door, Amaka saw Madam Theresa in the center of the room. Bowls of glowing red water surrounded her. Floating wigs bubbles in the bowl, and Madam Theresa chanted in a strange language. Shadows rose from the bowls and disappeared into the wigs. Amaka froze, her heart pounding as she realized the horrible truth. Madam Theresa was using dark magic to bind evil spirits to the wigs. This spirit brought short-lived fortune, but they demanded a heavy price, mystery and destruction. Terrified, Amaka quietly left the shop. She knew she couldn't expose Madam Theresa alone and needed help. One afternoon, a university student named Rose visited Madam Theresa's shop with her friend Beauty. Rose was excited to pick up her wigs, eager to experience the fortune everyone talked about. As Madam Theresa handed her the wig inside a black bag, she reminded Rose of the rule: do not open the bag until you get home. Beauty found the rule strange. She asked, "Why all these rules? Didn't you pay for the service? Why can't you open your wigs here?" Rose brushed it off, saying, "It doesn't matter." But Beauty's curiosity got the better of her. Against the rule, she opened the bag in front of the shop. As soon as Rose touched the wig, she transformed into a fish right before Beauty's eyes. Beauty screamed in terror as a crowd gathered. Madam Theresa came out, pretending not to know what was happening. "You are not my customer," she said coldly, accusing Beauty of trying to ruin her business. Rose's sister arrived, but it was too late. Rose, now a fish, had died. Her sister broke down, holding the lifeless fish in her hands. The crowd was shocked, but many refused to believe the story, claiming it was staged by Madam Theresa's competitor to destroy her reputation. Despite the tragedy, Madam Theresa's business continued to boom. Influential figures and celebrities endorsed her work, claiming her wigs brought them amazing luck. But behind the scene, many of her customers began to experience terrible misfortune. Determined to expose Madam Theresa, Beauty and Rose sisters started investigating. They reached out to other customers, pretending to be journalists at first. Most customers praised Madam Theresa's work, but as they dig deeper, they found many women who had suffered strange and terrible events after wearing her wig. One day, they met the same beggar Amaka had encountered. The beggar revealed her own tragedy story. She used to be a wealthy businesswoman until she trusted Madam Theresa with her wig. Like others, she enjoyed incredible fortune at first, but it came with a price. As sun drawn mysteriously, her businesses collapsed and her life fell apart. I've been searching for a way to stop her for years, the beggar said. Her power comes from the bowl in her ritual room. Destroying them will break her connection to the spirit. But it was dangerous. The spirit will fight back. Beauty, Rose sister and the beggar knew they had to act fast. That night, the three women sneaked into Madam Theresa's shop. They found her in the ritual room, shouting as usual. Without hesitation, the beggar splashed holy water into the largest bowl. The water bubbled violently and dark shadow rose. The beggar shouted, "Reject the spirit. They have no power over you if you refuse them." Following her lead, they rejected the spirit and the shadow released their grip. Madam Theresa screamed in rage, "You dare to ruin me." The beggar confronted her. "You ruined my life. You gave me fortune, but it doesn't last. I lost everything because of you." Madam Theresa laughed. "And yet, here you are still alive. You are nothing but a cockroach clinging to life." Before she could say more, Amaka, who had secretly followed them, stepped forward with her phone. She had been live streaming the entire scene. Thousands of people were watching, and Madam Theresa froze in shock. Suddenly, the spirit turned against Madam Theresa. They dragged her into the largest bowl as she screamed in terror. The bowl glowed brightly before cracking and scattering, releasing a strange mist. The shop fell silent. Madam Theresa was gone. The beggar turned to Amaka, Beauty and Rose sister. "We must destroy the shop," she said. Together, they set the shop ablaze. News of the live stream spread quickly, and people were horrified to learn the truth about Madam Theresa. Her remaining wigs lost their power, and her former customers began to recover their lost fortune. As the flame consumed the shop, the women felt a sense of relief. Madam Theresa's dark reign was finally over. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.